but soft. What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun, are far more fair than she.
What do you got going here?
Be not her maid.
Final readings for the Shakespeare Festival.
Her vestal livery is but sick and green.
Thank you, Jerome.
We flew home. We had we wrapped up our time in LA. We flew home. There was one episode. It was about my uncle. He's a guy who comes into town, and he's a big, fast talker, city slicker type of guy. But he's basically a con artist. But he's my uncle, and that was played by Glenn Thurman, and he's been in countless movies and TV shows. There was an episode where a traveling black baseball team came to town, and they wanted to play the all-white baseball team of the town. And their ace pitcher on that team was Morgan Freeman, and he played the pitcher on that. And actually, that was great. That was fun to film that one because it was outside playing baseball for a lot of the filming. That's where a lot of the shots were done. And my dad actually got an opportunity. Like I said, he drove trucks, so one of the little buses that they had carrying the black travelers around, my dad got in on the scene when he got to drive the bus around.
It was called Palmerstown, USA. My favorite memory of it was a very early Morgan Freeman. There's a photograph. You're the kid that's on my back? Huh?
Yes.
Come up here, let me see it. Oh, for crying out loud. And you're still black.
Yeah, I'm still black.
It was an incredible collaboration. It really, really was. And Jermaine, I know he may understate it, but he was a very, very important part of it because he was friends with a young white boy down the block. And it was, a lot of the series was about him and that young white kid's relationship. What was his name? I forgot.
Brian Wilson.
Yes, Brian Wilson. And it was like, what Palmerstown was about was, and I wish it was on today, actually. It was about, coming together and no matter what you faced as individuals, but coming together as human beings. And in the beginning, we judged each other by race. But in the end, as the story went on, we didn't judge each other at all. We basically accepted each other as human beings. And when I say it was about, Jermaine and the young boy, it was about their futures too, because the fathers understood that, I think. So we had great guests like Lou Gossett come through. And there were some incredible people that came through that set. But the main thing was the family of people in the series.
Yeah.
We really, dealt with some topics because the great Alex Haley and the great Norman Lear came together. And, of course, Alex Haley did Roots, but Norman Lear was pioneering in terms of what he did for Black folks in TV and et cetera. So it was a great collaboration, and it was a learning experience too.
Do you remember anything in particular about Jermaine running around the set? Anything? Did anything? Does that spark anything?
I don't know if we saw each other that much, but he may have some, because every time they said cut, me and Brian would run off somewhere.
Right.
We'd be gone. They have to send people to go find us.
That's right.
That's the only thing I kind of remember about that. Janelle made some interesting, I don't know how much he told you, Sean told you about the project, but we've pretty much on this journey. It's been a few years now, and it's really the brainchild of Sean. He's been producing it the whole time. I really didn't, at first I was like, I'm not sure. But then when he made me realize, and I started looking back on all the star power, everybody's really in the early 80s, late 70s, everybody's really trying to get their thing going, getting on shows. Janelle pointed out a couple of things, but one of them was she was like, the producers didn't want anybody that had been on Roots. Are you familiar with that? So they wanted kind of fresh faces.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you think of a series that was in that time that was similar? And would that series, the subject matter, would it hold today?
I can't think of anything specific, but I would say Palmerstown today Alex Haley and Norman Lear they were fearless. I mean, what was great about them is they dealt with things that made people feel uncomfortable. And by dealing with them, that was a healing experience. Well, I call it edutainment. In other words, it makes you, entertains you, at the same time, it gives you something to think and feel about. And Palmerstown did that. I don't think there are a lot of shows or films that any longer do that. I mean, there's a lot of, our music has become shake that booty, baby.
Pop it, pop it.
Pop it. And I
twerk it, everybody's
twerk it. And I wish there was more content on TV that dealt with, some of the issues we're facing today. I'm still trying to get over this young boy being shot in Georgia, man, and in February, and nothing happened. And without that footage, nothing would still be happening.
Those guys would be free still, walking around.
And this is 2020.
Yes.
This is not 1920.
Yeah.
Hello, Bill Duke. Remember your wife, Bessie. She remembers you.
And I don't even know if prior to Palmerstown, because you had other Norman Lear shows which were Good Times that had a family unit, but they were situation comedies.
Right.
So, but Norman Lear, was executive producing the comedies, and so he was able to, because there were people who were like, okay, comedic, and that's great, family unit, yada yada yada. So what about drama in a serious situation? And so he was able to introduce that as well, along with Alex Haley. So that was it was the first, and really very pleased to have been a part of that type of thing.
It even goes deeper than that, because my grandfather had cancer. I had an auntie that stayed with me. She didn't have cancer, but she died from Alzheimer's. You know what I'm saying? And she was there, since I was a kid. Jay know her name T. She was like a second mother to me, you know what I'm saying? And she couldn't walk, so we basically took care of her, stuff like that. But from that point, and she passed when I was 17 years old. That was November 19, 2002. After that, excuse me, my grandfather passed. He died from cancer, and that was in 2008, October 27, 2008. And my mother got diagnosed with cancer. No, actually, my father got diagnosed with cancer first in 2003. I'm getting ahead of myself. He got diagnosed with it, and he was supposed to only have 6 months to live. He ended up living a whole nother 9. You know what I'm saying? My mother got diagnosed with cancer in 2008, and she went through her chemo, surgeries and all that stuff, and it went away. Same thing with my father, but it came back. My mother, she was trying to keep a lot of stuff away from me, so I don't know the exact date that it came back, but from the time frame that I know, it came back in 2010. 2011 is when she passed, March 4th, 2011. And my father passed a year later, both of them from cancer. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think it's something is it in the land and the water? Have you thought about that? Or when you go through that, you might not really think about how it came about. You just want them to get well, but is that something that might have passed through your mind? Or?
To be honest, as far as just cancer period, I think it's a combination of a lot of stuff, the stuff that they put in our food that we ingest, the air, the pollution, all that kind of stuff. We get the bad end of the stick all the way around. It's you can't eat nothing, you can't drink nothing, everything contaminated. They making fake rice, fake lettuce, fake vegetables, stuff like that. All these GMOs. So it's you never know. Because at the same time, my father was a heavy smoker, heavy drinker. My mother drank cokes like all the time. And, you know, coke not good for you. It take off rest. You know what I'm saying? So ain't no telling what it do to you on your insides. But I think it's just that cancer, man, is crazy. Like we don't live healthy no matter what we're doing. So it's like I'm pretty sure it's a combination of a whole lot of things. The area we're in, you know, it's not as sanitary as other areas, you know, and I don't know, man. But it's crazy. It's real crazy.
What kind of cancer eventually did they have?
My father had throat cancer and my mother had uterine cancer. And my mother's was very aggressive, you know, because she was actually doing all right. Then one night she fell, and after she fell, like she went to the hospital. She stayed in the hospital for about 2 months, I would say, and then she passed.
In the hood?
Not now. We didn't have no superstar
I know, we
athletes.
didn't have no superstars.
I mean, you know, later on, of course, like the legends, Broderick Thomas kind of started it off.
Yeah.
He played for Madison, like in the mid '80s. Then went on to play for like Detroit.
In the
And
manner,
then-
we were intellectuals.
Yeah, we was intellectual
about our
thugs,
grades.
intelligent hoodlums. It's intelligent hoodlums, dog. It's no secret now. Like, you know, Houston run the car culture of the industry. Everybody known for us. We have big cars. We drive these big old pretty cars down here and stuff like that. So everybody pretty much know that. So back in the 80s, 82, 83 is kind of when I remember it kind of starting to jump off a little bit. So if you had a convertible, if you had a roof or something back in the day, back then niggas got Hollywoods or they had T-tops or some shit like that. We used to have this thing where call them roll them up out the top or capping, you know what I'm saying? So one thing that we used to do, like if you riding down the street or something and see somebody, you know, peeping you in the ride, you just kind of roll them up a little bit and give a little push up the top like that, or you'll, you know, chunk the deuce out the roof or something like that. But I just remember Broderick would do that. He would get a sack and he would do that, like he would do that capping or roofing. They used to call it roofing back in the day. He would do the roofing thing. And I just remember seeing him when he was on TV, would do that. And then next thing you know, the whole audience was doing it. And now they kind of raising the roof. But that's a Hiram Clark thing. It's kind of the reason I really wanted to do this thing, because a lot of stuff just from this little bitty old hood, a lot of stuff started from over here, South Park, just on the south side. You know, now you hear it all in the music. A lot of the music that's out now, everybody's riding foreign and, you know, chunking the deuce and all that. You know, even though Atlanta probably get a lot of the shine for it, that's a South Side Houston thing. That's a Houston thing.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Big
All that
Mello
stuff.
over in Windsor Village. You got 3-2 here in
3-2.
Manor.
Great lyricists
Yeah.
that came out of this area. Like I said, great athletes. You know, Madison always turned out hoop squads and
DY, yeah.
yep, and
Definitely
they
some
always
hoop
had
squads.
they had them hoop squads going, and you know, so just, you know, but a lot of guys getting taken under, man, got took under, you know, from the hood, you know.